So hello and welcome back to Go Again Gaming. My name is Az, and today we are going to be spoiling the Azalea Armory Deck and all of its glory, the full deck list. And you're going to have a chance to win this deck as well, so please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, there are ways of tracking this, and make sure you leave a comment in the section below as to why you love Azalea and when you started playing her. And I'm going to reach out to you on release day on your comment, so make sure you stay tuned. But we are going to keep this video as brief as possible, because I know a lot of you are waiting for the 2 new cards that haven't been spoiled yet, so let's get through this deck list pronto. So in short, the main idea of this deck is to play the main Azalea buff your arrows and fire them type strategy, but with some new and consistent lines for aim counters which can get some massive value. And of course, searching your deck for that big dominated arrow through the use of a myriad of cards that allow you to look at and sometimes manipulate the top of your deck. So starting off with the equipment suite, we have Death Dealer, Crow's Nest, Target Totalizer, Flight Path, Sharpshooters, and Hidden Agenda. Starting off with Death Dealer, what more needs to be said? Azalea's signature weapon that allows you to put an arrow into your arsenal and draw a card. An amazing bow that allows you to access the top of your deck randomly or perhaps premeditated through the use of the deck's top deck manipulation cards. Crow's Nest is a great tool to extract even more value off of your Azalea activations. Getting aim counters onto arrows that come into play with Dominate is a surefire way to victory, and match dominations given you have the resources to pay for it. Target Totalizer is a fantastic way of turning all your aim counter arrows into card draw. This can either be part of a huge pop-off turn or just a way to ensure that you are threatening a potential arsenal card for your next turn. Flight Path is a great way of giving any of your aim counter arrows go again, which can extend turns and threaten some big value depending on what you've set up for the follow-up, and it blocks for 1 as well. Sharpshooters is the MVP of this deck in my opinion, and probably the card I see having the most impact on the constructed lists at large. This card single-handedly allows you to include more cards in your deck that benefit from having aim counter payoffs. Every single arrow you draw into your hand will now have the added bonus of being able to have an aim counter on it if needed through the use of this equipment. Couple that with all the other pieces of equipment in the deck, it can really pop off when you need it to, and again, it blocks for 1. Hidden Agenda is one of the new cards that hasn't been revealed until now. This card can get you a resource really early on in the game, which can help you establish some dominance over your opponent by just playing your normal strategy and establishing your arsenal. It also helps you maximise the value of another card in the deck, which can really extract some value out of your aim count and matters cards. Point the tip. In the wider constructed lists, it can also open up your second arsenal with New Horizon, and it can also act as another piece of arcane barrier for the arcane matchups. Fun times. If there are any other synergies, let us know in the comments below. So going into the actual cards in the deck list, we have the blues. We have 3 times Spire Sniping, 3 times Infecting Shot, and 3 times Knock the Death Whistle. These are great in the blue pitch slot because they all can be played to a great and valuable effect, but of course they all pitch and block for 3. Spire Sniping lets you look at the top 2 cards of your deck and rearrange them for a potential big dominate through Azalea's ability. Infecting Shot, even at blue, can still be fantastic value if you can get the aim counters on it and fire it. Simulating a 6 value attack with the Blood Rot on hit is an amazing rate for a blue block 3 card. And last but certainly not least, Knock the Death Whistle is just one of the OG Azalea cards that we all love to use to find our favourite big arrows from our deck, put them on the top, and activate Azalea's ability to dominate them. Moving on to the yellows, we have 3 times Spire Sniping, 3 times Read the Glide Path, 3 times Line It Up, and 1 times Memorial Ground. So the yellow cards are fantastic pitch cards into Death Dealer because they pay for the bow activation and leave you with a resource floating to fire the arrow that you have loaded most of the time. These yellows in this armory deck also have some fantastic utility when you play them as well. As we've already touched on, Spire Snipings are great for just finding big evasive arrows, and if you need to shoot these yellow versions, they also have that 4 attack breakpoint as well, which can still be very, very good if you've laced it with buffs. Read the Glide Paths are great as a buff and a way to find big dominated arrows, or just allow you to filter the top of your deck to find a different line of play entirely. The Line It Ups are a fantastic new card that allow you to play the standard Azalea buff and fire strategy, but also with giving you more aim counter synergies by actively putting aim counters on your arrows that you have established in your arsenal and set up from the previous turns. We also have 1 Memorial Ground, which is a really old school piece of tech from Monarch that allows us to put any arrow back on top of our deck from our graveyard and potentially access it again through Azalea's ability to get another dominated arrow if you've established your arsenal. Now onto the meat of the deck, we have the reds. First of all, we have the buffs, the things that make our arrows bigger and more deadly. We have 3 times Scout the Periphery, 3 times Read the Glide Path, 3 times Lace of Bloodrot, Lace of Frailty, and Lace with Inertia, and 3 times Point the Tip. Scout the Periphery and Read the Glide Paths are great buffs that just give you more ways to find out what the top of your deck is for either dominating an arrow or switching out your arsenal card for a different line entirely with Azalea's ability, but also giving you a much needed +3 on your next arrow attack. Then we have the Lace with cards, perhaps the best buffs for any ranger. These all buff your arrows by +3, but also add additional on-hits in the form of the plagues. Blood Rot, which can inflict more damage. Inertia, which can give you big card advantage by not allowing your opponent to arsenal their cards. And Frailty, which weakens your opponent's weapon swings and any attacks that they play from their arsenal. All of which come as tokens in the deck as well. We also have a playset of Point the Tip, which have notoriously been hard to include in Azalea decks sometimes, but in this deck, with the amount of manipulation that you have with your hand and the top deck, plus the hidden agenda, being able to flip a card face down, face up, this will allow for some relevant counters to be placed on your arrows and will equate to some huge value on some turns. Also, Point the Tip, as well as any other aim counter generator cards, are also very interesting now with the introduction of Flight Path and Target Totalizer, which can turn any arrow with an aim counter on it into a go again attack or a snatch, or both. So these could become interesting to play with in and around other CC decks at large as well. Another red playset that we have in the deck is Ravenous Rabble, a fantastic card for just getting in some free damage and allowing you to see if your turn can be any different by seeing what the top card of your deck is. Combine this with all the other top deck manipulation and insight, you can really sculpt some different lines in what your hand and top deck might represent initially. Now moving on to the red arrows of the deck, we have 3 times Bolt and Shot, 3 times Drill Shot, 3 times Infecting Shot, 3 times Sedation Shot, 3 times Sleep Dart, 1 times Barbed Undertow, 1 times Red in the Ledger, and 3 times Stone Rain. So starting off with Red Bolt and Shot, this is just a fantastic arrow that will act as a great go-again chain starter that gives your opponent a bunch of decisions due to the on-hit reload effect. Drill Shot is a fantastic zero-cost arrow that whittles down your opponent's armour, and this arrow is definitely important because we need to get our opponent's armour out of the way before we can start hitting them hard. The Red Infecting Shot is the biggest damage-dealing arrow that we have, and couple that with the multiple ways of getting aim counters on this, it can really pack a big punch. Sedation Shot also gets a +1 buff from the aim counter, similar to Infecting Shot, but this one gives the opponent an inertia token on hit, which is crucial for keeping the opponent from arsenaling a card and keeping our massive card advantage. Sleep Dart is just great for turning off your opponent's hero ability if it hits, an effect that can really hurt your opponent's synergies and overall play patterns. Barbed Undertow is a fantastic aim counter target that can really throw a spanner in the works of your opponent's turn if it hits, only allowing them to pitch cards of your choice next turn. This can really screw with their upcoming plans. Red in the Ledger is the reason a lot of us picked up Azalea back in the day, and probably the strongest on hit in the entire game. If this hits, your opponent can only play 1 action next turn. This can start spiralling out of control if they can't block it, and it'll put you on the front foot for most of the game after that, as long as you can keep up the tempo. But now we are going to reveal the new arrow, Stone Rain, which you get 3 of in this armory deck. This is just another fantastic target for any of your aim counter synergies, as it forcibly strips a card from the opponent's hand if it hits. Couple that with the Dominate that it gets if it has an aim counter. This doesn't even need to be pulled off the top with Azalea's ability in order for it to be evasive and deadly. Plus it costs nothing to play. It's a fantastic card that punishes heroes that don't block, and I cannot wait to see how the CC decks at large choose to utilise this new play set of Majestics with all the new consistent ways we have to put aim counters on things. But that is pretty much it. Thank you very much to James for reaching out to me in LSS, for just trusting me to preview this deck list. You guys are fantastic. And again, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment in the section below as to why you love Azalea and when you started playing Azalea for a chance to win this deck list. Thanks very much. We'll see you in Osaka. Peace.